Hey everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome back to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal Self Care Challenge Day 49. So, again, in the acronym self care, we are on letter R. So, talking about receiving what we receive, how we receive it, do we receive, do we block, right? In my acronym of Best You, the letter U stands for unconditional love. So, again, crown chakra, they both resonate with the crown chakra, or are in alignment with the crown chakra. When you think about that doorway, if you will, that connection to God, source, pure spirit. So that frequency, that vibration of unconditional love, are we receiving that? Or are we down here in the humanness, being all judgy and critical and wrapped up in humanness type of things, right? Earthly, worldly projections of trauma reactions kind of stuff, right? Just something to think about. I, in transparency, had very little to share today. Of course, we know sometimes how that goes. Maybe super short, may not. However, again, my journaling, it was just that very bottom part. I did a little bit of it, tapped in a little bit. Really was connecting with the conversation I had last night. So, Sue, if you happen to pop on, I enjoyed our chat. We were on the phone for like 5 hours, but it's nice when we catch up. So, anyways, thank you for that. In that conversation, though, one of the things that really stuck out was trusting that allowing ourselves to be open to opportunities and possibilities that our human brain, our human mind limits, right? So, we were kind of pondering back and forth and just throwing ideas. And I love that we can do that. Like, we can talk about what a lot of people call controversial issues, but there is like no deep emotion when we're having the conversation. It's not like we feel judged or criticized or challenged or offended, or like we have that full understanding with each other that we're just exploring, right? We're sharing ideas and things that we heard, and we are fully aware that as a human being, we can say that we know certain things, but based on what, right? Like where the info, like we were diving deep going through, it was really cool. Um, And then that, right? So the limitations with the human brain. So I don't remember the exact numbers. So if you guys do, if you want to drop them in the comments, that'd be great. But with our brain, we only use a small percentage of it, right? So whether it's logical thinking or the creative side, or the part that runs the physical body, or there's a small I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like a plane, I think, super close. Can you hear that? We use a small percentage of our brain, right? So, what about the rest of it? What is it there for? What is it doing? Why does it exist if we're not using it, kind of thing? So, I know there's different theories out there about that, but also talking about just how we limit ourselves, right? So, having that knowing that there is that something bigger, as we often say, whatever word you choose, right? We have the collective consciousness. I know there's some of those terms I wasn't using in my conversation with Sue because that's not something she has looked into, right? She wouldn't understand. No offense to her, but she knows like she's not into that. So that would be like someone trying to explain football to me. Like, I don't know. But we were sharing in a way that we understand each other, right? We get it. And we understood, like, again, if we weren't challenging each other's beliefs or trying to prove one right or wrong. It was, again, just like exploring together and just being open, and then but really not focusing, but commenting on the brain and the limitations of human thought processes. So as you know, when I come on here on these daily lives every day and we do our journaling and we do that inner deep work and we talk about the chakras and we talk about, I have the two acronyms that are in line with the chakras to really expand out through the seven energies. how limiting it is, though, because we are in this human body and we are limited by our human brain. So even as we have our awakenings and even as we have our, however we're expanding, so whether we're researching, using the logical part of our brain to research and read and see what resonates and what fits and what makes sense and what doesn't, or right, however our learning process is, and then those moments where we expand our mind by being still and quiet and going within, right? Doing the meditation and just being open and learning in that space and that openness to opportunities and possibilities that are beyond the current limits of the human brain. And I love that because it's so fitting for today, right? Because we talk about being open to receive and we talk about the vibration, the frequency of unconditional love of God, source, pure spirit, whatever name you give. But then again, right, the limits of the human. So I can remember just reflecting and it came in, like popped up. My friend Rebecca talks about religion often and she teaches religion and she was sharing, she knows way more about like the Bible and things than I do. Like I have my experience with it. I don't have all the memories. I would have to go back and look. I used to be involved in like church and I have read the Bible or pieces in it, not the whole thing front to back. Um, but I couldn't tell you like in this verse or I don't remember all the stories and I don't remember all of it. But anyway, she was sharing about, I lost my train of thought. Mm, what was it? Oh, how, and I don't know, like the idea of seeing God, if you will, right? So this, if you think of unconditional love being at such a high frequency, that as a human being vibrating at a lower frequency just by nature, because we are dense, right? We are dense and physical, to be met by that fullness, that full frequency, like could the human body even handle that, right? Could it even handle that? No, we like to say yes, of course we could, right? Especially if I say like unconditional love. But yeah, but could it? If we really understood frequencies and vibration, how they vibrate and how they interact and how they respond to the other. It's just like another, exploring another perspective. But I love it because again, crown chakra being open, sitting, just being, we can ask questions like in prayer and just be quiet and see what comes in. And the challenges with the human mind, which is still right here, right? The crown chakra is on top of your head. Right underneath is your human brain. So there's a connection there if we allow it, if we're willing to receive it, right? Because again, that humanness, the human brain wants to set the limit. If I can't see it, I don't believe it. If it's not written, didn't happen. What are some of the other sayings and beliefs that we have? Or if it's not written in the Bible, then it didn't happen. Or if it's not written in the Torah, or if it's not written, I don't know the names of all the Quran. I don't remember the names of all of the religious textbooks or texts. So I apologize, but that those are our beliefs, and they're very deep rooted, and that like that's reality, right? That is truth, and I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying you have those differences, and we do know that there are differences, right? So for who follows the Bible, it's who follows the Bible, that is truth, and who follows the Torah, that is truth, and whoever follows Quran, that is truth, right? Or whatever it is that you follow, that is truth. So here we are with different truths living on the planet together, and then how do we, right, live together? But what are we open to? Where are our limits? And then where is the openness? So this is not a discussion of right or wrong in any way, shape, or form. It's fully just being open to opportunities and possibilities, but using discernment, right? So again, we need to be aware of ourselves and how things feel, and if they feel like they're in alignment, if we feel like there's resistance and where it comes from, being open to that higher guidance, that intuition, trusting that if we feel that something is off, that we take that warning, if you will, right? We take that message that something's off and just trust it. We don't have to necessarily, depending on what it is, like overreact or respond to it, but we can pivot and adjust what we're doing, right? Depending on what it is, of course, the level of danger in that. Like, if is it something like, oh, well, that was a lesson I needed to learn, or is it something massive? But we figure that out, right? Because we learn that discernment. We trust our intuition. We trust that higher guidance. We don't ignore that. And again, those are challenging. So as we were talking last night, Sue and I, it was that, how do you, right? Because we're human. We have been conditioned and programmed that you follow certain texts and you follow certain beliefs, and that's what is true, and you don't veer from that. And if you can't prove it based on certain text or certain belief, then it's not true. Then you can't believe that, right? Well, and then you can have discussions that some people would call conspiracy theories, but it makes you wonder. It opens that level of understanding, if you will. And again, how do we describe that level of understanding? Because there's a difference between what I can put into human words versus frequency. So in my even just brief journaling that came out as well, thoughts and or beliefs, because beliefs, right, are patterns of thoughts, versus frequency, like literal frequency. So if you do any type of, Google research type, or if you're already familiar with sound and frequencies, if you look it up, you can, there's different measuring tools where you can see like either lines, right, to show frequencies, or I just saw a little video. I don't remember. I wish I remember the details or even what platform for sure I saw it on. But someone had, I think it was a tuning fork and like a ball on a string. And then they said what frequency that was. That was attuned to, I think, 440 hertz. And then they took a tuning fork. The first one was like 528 hertz, maybe. I'm guessing something, five something. And they tapped it, and whatever that vibrated at, nothing happened with the other tuning fork and ball. And they did it again, like nothing. They picked up a separate tuning fork that was attuned to the same, so 440, I believe it was, 440 hertz, tapped that tuning fork, and then this one also vibrated. So it was talking about matching. Again, I didn't see like a full video. This was probably a short or a reel. But it showed when it was on the same level, when it was the same frequency, right? You could see a difference. I've shared before that when I've done healing sessions using my tuning forks and just, the way you move it through the energy body, really, well, you really have to listen, but you can hear a shift, a difference in the way that the fork vibrates when you reach an area that needs clearing, right? Can be challenging to explain, but it's something that with your physical human senses, you can see it or hear it or notice it. And we do find ways to explain it, but it's not always easy. So point being that highest frequency of God's source, unconditional love, like true, pure, unconditional love, vibrates at such a high frequency that it can feel off when and when again, we're humans, so automatically being a physical being, don't vibrate the same. So how do we get as close as we can to that, right? And our human brain, again, which is also governed by the crown chakra, is limited by all the energy within, right? So our beliefs, going back to the root, which we start again tomorrow. So when you think of it that way, they are the crown and the root chakras. They're not side by side on the body, but as the energy moves, they still affect each other as if, in a sense, they were side by side, right? So whatever my spiritual beliefs are, whatever I receive, if I allow myself to bring in that vibration of unconditional love, is going to directly affect the energy in my root chakra. So what my beliefs are, right? how I see myself and how I show up in the world, and vice versa. The energy is going to affect each other back and forth. Am I more into my human life experience, or am I open to receiving and being and allowing my soul, my spirit to take the lead? Let me check my journal, but I think we did good. So let me know what you think. Oh, that saying from one of my favorite books and movies, The Celestine Prophecy, things aren't always as they seem, right? Because we are limited by what we see through the human lens. So I will still share one of my favorite scenes if you haven't seen it or read the book. One of my favorite scenes, and I forget Dude's name, so we're just going to call him Dude. It's not Will. Will was the other guy. Peter? Maybe? Was it Peter? I'm sorry, I don't remember. One of the main characters in the book. When he's looking for, I forgot her name too, Margie? Margie? I think it's Margie. Anyway, he's looking for his friend, and she was captured, right? So he had visual, like images in his mind, and then he was tuning into energies, right? And following that guidance. So he takes off to find her, and he comes to a fork in the road. So he stands there for a moment, and one side really lights up and seems shiny and bright, and the other side just seems kind of dull and gray, right? So he takes off down the lighter path, and he gets captured. So of course he's thinking the worst, like, oh man, and I made a mistake, and what happened? And I followed the guidance, and now I'm captured, and I'm locked up in like this jail cell kind of thing, and how am I going to find her? And what happened? All the things that a human thinks about when something like that would happen. However, he was visited, I'm going air quote, visited in a dream, had a conversation, and the person who visited him, which was a father, a priest, and he's like, things aren't always as they seem, right? So when the guy wakes up, when Dude, Peter, whatever his name is, when Dude wakes up, he looks out the window through bars, right? And there's guards out there, but he sees the same image that he saw before he went on the journey. So it dawned on him that Margie, or I think that's her name, the person he was looking for, could be right there, right? Then he has another image of them running off. So as the guards let him outside to basically breathe or walk or do their thing, he runs over to another door that has bars on it, and she's in there. So, and he tells her, I don't, things are going to be okay, or something on that order. I don't know how I know, but just that they're going to be. And then things got pretty chaotic again, and they were able to get away. But that is like prime example of one of those times in our lives when we're following the guidance, and we're in flow, and we think things are great, and then it appears in our humanness that something, because something does happen in the human experience, that doesn't look so wonderful, right? That can be might seem like a barricade, or might seem like a tragedy. Because I'm kind of thinking, if I was captured and locked up, I would definitely mark that up as tragic, right? But we just don't know, because we're limited by our own beliefs and our own perspectives and our own energy, and whatever the mind is able to grasp within the limits of humanness, right? When we know, even though we know, we are so much more than that, even though we know things like miracles occur, right? It's massive. Lots to think about. Yeah. So hopefully, if you would like, join me today for day 7 of the 7-day Chakra Healing Challenge live round. I'm really looking forward to that. So we're wrapping up this year's annual live challenge. Again, it will stay up for an entire year until I do it again next year live. We get to see what comes in then. But we'll go a little bit deeper on the crown chakra and crown chakra healing. So 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. If you'd like to join me live on that, that would be great. If not, again, the replays are available. Let me know what you are doing to take care of you, and I will see you If not at 5 today, we're back tomorrow for our self-care challenge, starting over again for day 1. Take good care. I will see you then. So much love. Bye, guys.